Learning the Gemara on the bottom, the last few words, and Daf Yud Aleph Amud Beis. Speaking about the tainus, fasting. Last thing we learned about was a person that fasts for part of the day, shois, hours of the day, whether that's counted as a fast. Could you say Anenu and Yudavening Ishmael Esra? Amar Rav Chisda said, Ha da Amrit misanen l'shois. This that you said, that even a person that fasts for certain hours of the day, that it's counted as a fast. But for who shaloi ta'am klum ada eref. It's only counted as a fast if he didn't taste anything until at night, which means basically that he fasted all day. Amalei Abaye, so Abaye says, ha tainus mal yasehi. If he's not eating and he's not till the end of the day, so that's a regular fast. So what's the chiddush that he's saying over here? That misanan l'shois is if he didn't fast, if he didn't taste anything all day. So the Gemara explains, loy tzriche. The chiddush that he's saying is the imlech imluchi, which means that he changed his mind. The first half of the day, he didn't accept upon himself to fast. He didn't end up eating because he was busy, so he didn't eat. And then, for the remainder of the day, he realizes, I didn't eat already till now, I'm going to continue fasting, and I want to accept upon myself to fast till the end of the day. So over here, he fasted the entire day, but he only accepted upon himself to fast in the middle of the day. And that is what Rav Chisda said, that it's considered to be a full fast, even though he only accepted it in the middle of the day. Rav Chisda said, Kol tainus shaloi shakal of chama. Anytime a person fasts and he doesn't fast until at night, until shkia, lav shmei tainus. It's not counted as a fast day for him. Can't say anenu. It's not a fast. Meisvei. So the Gemara asks a few questions on this. So it says like as follows: Anshe Mishmar, the people that are in the Mishmar, in the Beis HaMikdash. This refers to the Kainim, the Levim that serve in the Beis HaMikdash. So Misanen, they fast on a fast day, but V'loi Mashlimin, they don't fast until the end of the day. They have to have the Kayach to work in the Beis HaMikdash. So they do not fast a full day. But the lashon that it says over here is Misanen. They do fast. We're talking about over here regarding these fasts that the Mishnah says when you have to fast, when the whole tzibur is fasting for the rain, so they also fast, but they don't fast all day. But the Mishnah nevertheless calls it fasting. So we see that it does count as a fast. So how could Rav Chisda say that if you don't fast until Shkia, it's not called a fast? And for the Gemara, Hasam l'tziyure nafshe ba'almahu, even though Taka says the lashon misanin, but it's Taka not counted as a fast for them. The only reason that they are fasting is because they want to join in the pain of everybody, the tzibur, so therefore they fast as much as they can to join with everyone. But it's Taka not counted as a fast. Tashema, another question of what Rav Chisda said. Dam Rabbi Eliezer ben Tzaddik. Eliezer ben Tzaddik said as follows: Ani mibnei bonov shel Sanov ben Binyamin. I am from the grandchildren of Sanov, the son of Binyamin. In other words, they came from Shevet Binyamin. Upa'am achas, and once what happened was Chal Tisha B'av liya is b'Shabbos. Tisha B'av was on a Shabbos, so we don't fast then. And v'dechinu la'achar Shabbos, and they pushed off the fast of Tisha B'av to Sunday. And then on Sunday they didn't fast a full day. V'hisaninu bay, we fasted on Sunday. V'loi hishlamnuhu, and we did not fast a full day. Why not? Mipnei sheyontiv shalonuhu, because the 10th day of Av is our yontiv. So Rashi Barichas brings the Gemara, and actually in the end of the Masech over here, that talks about the different days that there were different shvatim that would bring wood that they donated to the Beis HaMikdash, and that when they brought the wood for the Beis HaMikdash, for the Mizbeach, it was considered to be a yontiv for that family. So because for them, their day that they used to bring the wood was on the 10th day of Av, this was a day that was considered to be a yontiv for them. So therefore, they didn't fast a full day of Tisha B'av when it was pushed off to Sunday. But nevertheless, the point is, we see over here, it says V'saninu, but they did fast, and it seems like it was counted as a fast for those hours that they did fast. So again, the Gemara says the same answer, Hasam nami, l'tziyure nafshe ba'almahu. This that it's considered to be a fast is just to join in the pain of everybody else that's fasting, but it's not counted as a fast. Tashema, another ayah, Dam Rabbi Yechanan said, Hey betainus, he would say as follows: let me be in a fast. I take upon myself to fast until I come home. So Rabbi Yechanan, in other words, many times when he would travel home, so he would say, let's say it takes him 2-3 hours to get home, he would say, I accept upon myself a fast until I get home. So we see that there is such a concept that you could accept upon yourself a fast for a few hours, not only for a full day. So the Gemara says that's not a raya either. Hasam, the reason why Rabbi Yechanan would say this, l'shmute nafshe, because he would want to avoid having to join the meal that they offered him to eat by the house of the Nasi, and he wasn't interested in eating there, wasn't interested in joining them, so he would say that he took upon himself a fast. So like this, he could avoid joining them with the meal. So we don't have any raya over here for what against what Rav Chisda said, that a real tainus is only if it's a full day. Shmuel says, Kol tainus shalei kibul olav mibayid yayim. Any fast that a person did not accept upon himself to fast from the day before. Lav shmei tainus, it's not considered to be a tainus. In other words, if a person wakes up in the morning and he just decides, you know what, I'm not going to eat today, and he doesn't eat and he fasts, it doesn't have a din of a fast. You have to accept it upon yourself the day before. Vi yosiv mai, if a person decides without accepting the day before, that he sits and he fasts, so then what happens? What is this considered? Rabbi Bar Shila says, Domi lemafucha, it's considered to be like a bellow, the malya zika, that's full of hot air, and it's nothing. It's just the person as well over here that he fasts, it's not considered to be a fast, it's just like something which has, what happens when a person fasts? So he doesn't have any food that enters into his body, he has a lot of air that he may be breathing and entering into his body, so it becomes full of air without any food, so he's just like full of hot air, and it's not, but it has nothing to it, it doesn't have the halacha of a fast.
Why is the Kabbalah so important?
In order for it to be a real thing, that is not stam, that happens to be that I didn't eat because I wasn't hungry. In other words, where's the line? How do you have that distinction that I'm not stam fasting because I wasn't hungry or because I decided that I don't like the food, but it's a real fast? There has to be something to establish it, to make that chalois, that it should be a real fast. So it's only if you accept it from the day before, not just that it's happening, but derech hagav. So the Gemara says exactly when do you have to accept this fast. Emes makabel lei. When do you accept the fast? Rav Omar b'mincha. So Rav says mincha time, in other words, in the afternoon. Not by davening mincha, but in the afternoon time of the day. And Shmuel Omar b'tfilas mincha. Shmuel says that it's not only by the time of mincha, which means you could be anywhere, even in the street, and you could just accept it upon yourself, but it's by the time of mincha, as Rashi says, that in the end of the Shmoneh Esrei, and then we say L'kai Netzair, so over there, that's the closer to the next day, not by Shachris, but after by Mincha, closer to the next day, that's when you accept it upon yourself. Rav Yosef, so Rav Yosef says, Kvosei, the Shmuel Mistavra, that it's logical, like what Shmuel says, that you accept the fast upon yourself by the time when you daven Mincha. Tichsiv v'Megillas Tainus, because in Megillas Tainus it says, Lahain kol inish, lahain, that but, however, kol inish the yesi Eloi mikadmas dena. Any person that he accepts upon himself from before, mikadmas dena means that he accepts it upon himself from before, so then yesar. Yesar, what does the lashon yesar mean? That he becomes asr, it becomes asr for him to eat. What is this lashon yesar? Yesar is mashma, that he asers upon himself. Not that he becomes asr automatically. Because he accepted upon himself, so then yesar, he makes himself asr. Maila, or yeyasar maybe is the right way to read it. That he makes himself asr. Mailav, yeyasar atzmai. What this means is that the person accepts it upon himself, bitzilai. When in his davening, when the person davens. In other words, this lashon yeyasar means that he has to accept it upon himself, not that he becomes asr automatically. So the Gemara says, Loi, not necessarily do you have to read the word yeyasar, that he accepts it upon himself and he becomes asr, but yeyasar atzmai, that the person automatically becomes asr without accepting it upon himself, but it could become asr for him automatically, even without accepting it. So if you read it yey aser, not yeyasar, yeyasar means he makes himself asr, he accepts it upon himself. Yey aser means that it happens automatically. Sagt the Gemara, Mandi Omar Yeyaser. Huh? Skip something? Sagt the Gemara, Pligi Baha. So the argument over here is, this argument, they argued about this as well. Rab Chia and Rab Shimon Berebi argued about this. Chad Omar Yeyaser. One said Yeyaser, which means that the person has to aser himself. He's the one that has to accept upon himself the fast, that it should be aser for him to eat. V'chad Omar, and another one says Yey aser. Yey aser means that even if he doesn't accept it upon himself, that he's going to be aser to fast automatically, whether he accepted it upon himself by davening time, or even if not by davening time. In other words, the point here is that Rashi explains, even the mandama that says yei aser, it doesn't mamish mean that he's going to become aser automatically without accepting it upon himself altogether. Right? He has to, if you don't accept it upon yourself altogether, then you stam not eating b'derech hagav. Even the mandama that says yei aser, you have to accept it upon yourself, but lav dafka in a designated time by davening. Anytime you're walking in the street, wherever you are, you can just make that decision in your mind. Okay, it is aser. I decided it's going to be aser for me to eat tomorrow. You don't have to say befeirish by davening, I am accepting upon myself that I will not eat tomorrow. So this machlekes, the Gemara says, so this is an argument between Rab Chiya and Rab Shimon ben Rebbe. Sagt the Gemara, mandama ye yaser. So mandama that says ye yaser, you have to beferish, accept it upon yourself and say it by davening. Kidamrina. We just brought the lashon that it says in Megillas Tainus, and there it says ye yaser, that the person has to aser upon himself. The mandama yei aser, the one that says the lashon of yei aser, he becomes aser automatically, meaning he doesn't have to say it beferish, and whenever he wants, he just accepts it upon himself. Maihi, what's the source? So the source is also this braise, but it's just a different girsa, and the Gemara brings the hemshech also to show his source. The Tanya, so the lashon of the braise, as we just quoted, is b'megillas tainis, kol inish, the yesi aloyi mikadmas deno. A person that comes upon him, he takes it upon himself to fast from before, yei aser. So then he will become aser to eat. So it's when he accepts it upon himself at any time, doesn't have to say it beferish. Keitzad. How is this? Yachid shekibel olav sheni v'chamishi, a person, an individual that accepts upon himself to fast for a Monday or a Thursday or v'sheni or another Monday, shel kol hashana kula, any day of the year. So let's say a person accepts upon himself all the next, let's say the next 10 Mondays, the next 10 Thursdays, I'm going to fast. And then what happens? V'iru ba yamim tovim aksuvim b'megillas tainis. And then it comes out that one of the days that he accepted upon himself to fast, it's one of those Yomim Tovim that I mentioned in Megillas Tainus that you're not supposed to fast. Right? So now most of Megillas Tainus is bottle. But let's say, for example, a person takes upon himself such a thing, and then it comes out on Chanukah or Purim, on Monday or a Thursday. That's the things from Megillas Tainus that are not bottle. So im nidroi. So the question is he allowed to fast or not? Im nidroi kaidem l'gzeira seinu. If his neder, the vow that he made that I will be fasting, was made before Chazal is established and decreed those days to be special days that you're not allowed to fast. So Yaftil Nidroi is Gzeira Seinu. So his vow that he accepted upon himself will be Mevatel, our Gzeira, that you shouldn't fast on this day. But Vim Gzeira Seinu Kedemis L'Nidroi. But if our Gzeira regarding this day that it's a Yom Tif came before he made his neder, he accepted upon himself this day to fast, to batel Gzeira Seinu as Nidroi. So our Gzeira that we made, that it's considered to be a Yom Tif, is going to be Mevatel, his neder that he made, that he's going to fast. So what do you see over here in the lashon of this braisa according to this opinion? It says over here, the lashon of ye, according to this girsa, it says the lashon of yei aser. That's how their guidance over here. That it means that a person accepts it upon himself, and not that he has to say it beferish, b'shas, the davening, which is what ye yaser means, that he has to say it. Tana Rabbanon and Abraisa we learned.
What does it mean before we made a gzeira?
Which means basically that it's back in the times of the second Beis Hamikdash. Then, so after that time period,
if there was no gzeira, then
so it's another way of saying.
How can you change the gzeira?
Well, if Chachamim came and made a gzeira, you may have thought that once Chachamim make a gzeira, so he has to follow what Chachamim said, even though he made his neder first. So therefore, the Brais is saying no, that if he made his neder first, so then his neder, he has to keep his neder. But the point that it's saying over here is that now, anytime a person accepts upon himself to fast and it ends up coming into a Chanukah, obviously the Gzeir of the Chachamim was before, and therefore you can't fast on a Chanukah or on a Purim or those days that we don't fast. Tana Rabbanon and a Braisa we learned Ad Mosai Oichel V'Shaisa. Until when is a person allowed to continue eating and drinking? This goes back to what it said in the Mishnah, that in the fast that they establish, when you begin fasting in the morning. At night you don't have to fast. But until when exactly could you continue eating and drinking? Ad Sheyale Amud HaShachar. Until the morning star comes up. Divrei Rabbi Eliezer Rab Shimon. Again, Divrei Rebbe. That's what Rebbe says. Rabbi Eliezer Rab Shimon says, Oimer at Kreisa Gever. Until the rooster crows in the morning, that's until when you can eat, which is a little bit later in the day, I believe. Kreisa Gever, the first time, Rashi says. Kreisa Gever, the first time in the morning. L'chayr, it's even earlier. Amar Abaye, so Abaye says, Loishanu, this that you said, that you're allowed to continue eating until the morning, that's only said, Shalegama Sudasai. If the meal that he ate at night, he didn't finish eating, and he didn't bench yet. Avalgama Sudasai. Once he finishes eating and he benched already, so then, he can't continue eating anymore that night already, because he accepted a fast for the next day, he can't continue eating at all. So Rav asked on this, it says, Gomar, he finished eating, V'omad, then he got up, he could still continue going and eating even after he finished his meal. So you see that he could, it's not Gomar Sudasi, does not automatically begin the fast. Answers the Gemara, Hasam Kishaloi Silik. When it says in that Braisa that if he finished eating, he could continue eating, when he did not remove the table. In those times, they had these little tables that they would bring in to eat in front of it, and then when they finished eating, they would take away the table. He did not take away the table yet, so therefore he still has a mind to continue eating. Ikidamri, others said that it was Rava that said this halacha, and he said it differently. Amar Rava said, Lo Yishan, it was only said that you could continue eating till the morning, El Kishalo Yashan, if you didn't go to sleep yet. Aval Yashan, but if you did go to sleep, Ein Eichel. So then, once you wake up, even if you woke up in the middle of the night, and it's not Aleisa Shacha yet, or it's not Kreisa Geva yet, you can't eat anymore. So Abaye asked him this. It says in the Braise that Yashon, you went to sleep, Va'omad, and you woke up, Hareze Oichel, that you are allowed to continue eating until the morning. So the Gemara answers, Hasam b'misnamne. When it says there that he could continue eating, he wasn't fully sleeping. He was dozing off. And the Gemara says, Hey chidami misnamne. What does misnamne mean? Amar Ravashi. So Ravashi says, Nim v'loinim. He's sleeping, but he's not really sleeping, and tir v'loy tir. He's awake, but he's not awake. And what does this mean? The karele v'ani, if you call his name, he'll respond, but v'loy yada duris svara. But if you want to talk to him about any idea, any concept, any subject, he can't talk to you. V'chi mitkele mitker. If you remind him that, if you remind him later that did you hear this that I told you, he will remember. But he's not really fully awake because you can't talk to him any subject. That's the concept of sleeping, not fully asleep, and then you could eat still after you wake up. Okay, so from this Gemara it says here that even a fast that starts the next morning, but if you went to sleep already, and you wake up in the middle of the night before Aleisa Shachar, you're not allowed to eat. Right? And so that means the Moshe, it's going to be now Sarah B'Tevis. And Aleisa Shachar is whatever, let's say 5:30. If you wake up 5 o'clock, you're not allowed to eat. You went to sleep already. There's a letter from the Rebbe about this, because in the Alter Rebbe, Nigeres HaTshuva speaks about the fact that you have the short days, and you could eat in the morning, and therefore it's easier for a person to fast. But L'chayre, the Gemara says, if you go to sleep, that you're not allowed to eat anymore. The Rebbe over there brings from the Paiskim, different Teifanim, that it comes out that even if you did go to sleep, and you woke up, that you are allowed to eat before Aleisa Shachar.
As long as you had in mind before you went
Right, if you had in mind to eat when you went to sleep. I think so, yeah. It's a letter from the Rebbe. I didn't see it right now, but the Rebbe addresses this over here from this in the Gemara. Amar Rav Kahana, Amar Rav Yochid, Shekibul Olav Tainus, a Yochid that accepts upon himself to fast. Aser b'neilas a sandal. He's not allowed to wear his shoes either. Why not? Chayshinon, because we're concerned when he accepted upon himself to fast. What kind of fast did he accept upon himself? Shema tainus tzibur kibul olav. Maybe he accepted upon himself this tainus of a tzibur, which is the level of the tainus tzibur that we had in the Mishnah, which is not only not eating, but also not to wear shoes and all the other things of the tainus tzibur. In other words, when a person accepts upon himself and he just says, I'm going to fast. As Rashi explains, he just said stam, I'm going to fast. So he didn't say clearly what kind of fast. Did he mean to say I'm going to fast that tainus of an individual, that myself I'm fasting, and therefore it's not on the level of a tainus sibur? Or did he mean to say that he's going to accept upon himself like a tainus sibur? So therefore he's not allowed to wear shoes, because maybe it's like that tainus sibur that the Mishnah said that is also asa b'nisa sandal. So the Gemara, so heichi lavid, if a person wants to just not eat, but he should be able to wear shoes and so on, so what should he say? What should he do? Amar Rabbe bar Rav Shila leimahachi. He should say as follows: Lemachar ahei lefanecha b'tainis yachid. If he says clearly that tomorrow I'm going to fast and it should be a tainis yachid, so then he spells out tainis yachid. So then he just doesn't eat, but he could wear shoes. Amr le Rabban le Rav Sheishes. Yeah, day before. Yeah, this you say day before, like our minhag, we say it by mincha.
So, since then, what is it? You can't eat anymore?
No. It's no, the next day. But the point is, if he says Tainis Yachid, so then he's allowed to wear shoes. Amr le Rabbana le Rav Sheishes, Hakachazinan le Rabbanan, but we see the Rabbanan, the Misaimi Misanayu, that they wear their shoes, and V'asu le Beit Tanisa, even on a day of a fast, even on a fast day like a Tainis Tzibur, not just a fast day of an individual. They come and they wear their shoes. So the Gemara says, Ikpid, that Rav Sheishes was makpid on this. He wasn't happy with this. The fact, he said to them, Dilman meichel nami yachol. Maybe if they're wearing their shoes on a fast day, so maybe they're eating as well. In other words, he considered it to be usher to wear your shoes, just like you're not allowed to eat, you're not allowed to wear your shoes. Abaye v'rove. Ma'ayli kimisaimi apansa. Abai and Rava on a fast day, so they wore a pansa. So what's a pansa? There's two opinions. One opinion is that it's a shoe that only has a sole and it doesn't have the top part of the shoe. And another opinion is the opposite, that it has on the top of the foot, that it covers, but it does not have a sole. So they wore like something which is not a regular shoe. Mereme mazutre. They would switch their shoes from the right foot to the left foot, from the small yamina from the left foot to the right foot. So they didn't wear the shoes with the regular comfort on a regular day. Rabbana de Beravashi, Nafki ki orchayu. The Rabbana by Ravashi, they would wear their shoes on a fast day like regular. Savri ki yadam Shmuel. They held like what Shmuel said, and we had this quoted before in the Gemara, Ein tainis tzibur beBavel, elo tisha b'av bilvad. That in Bavel, we don't keep a tainis tzibur fully, including not wearing shoes. The only time that we keep a tainis tzibur fully in that sense is on Tisha B'av. Rav Yudah Marav said, Lo yvadam tanisai, a person can borrow his fast, meaning that if he accepts upon himself a fast, and then he realizes, I can't fast today. So then he can borrow that day and he can go ahead and eat. Upireya, and then he pays up the fast that he accepted upon himself another day. When I said this in front of Shmuel, Amali, so he said to me, did he accept upon himself a neder that he must fast? That it's not going to be enough if he does not make it up. He accepted upon himself to inflict pain upon himself. And therefore, what did he really mean when he accepted this upon himself? If he's able to keep it and to fast, so then that's what he meant. Then he'll do it. But he loy matzi, then loy mitzayir nafshay. So then he will not be mitzayir himself. But he doesn't have to make it up. That's what Shmuel held. This whole thing of a person accepting upon himself a fast is he meant to say only if matzi. Others said, person can borrow the day of his fast and make it up another day. And then what happened? When this was said in front of Shmuel that you can make up your fast another day, so Shmuel responded differently. He said, Pshite. Obviously, you can make it up a different day. You don't have to make it up today. This should be not more than just a neder that a person accepts upon himself to fast. So neder, it's a vow that you accepted upon yourself, but just like any neder, a person takes upon himself a neder to do something. So there's no time frame for this. So if he does it tomorrow, is tomorrow. If not tomorrow, it could be the next day. So obviously, he can make it up another day. Rav Yeshua berei Ravidi ikla lebei Ravasi. Rav Yeshua berei Ravidi came to visit Rabbi Ravasi. Ovdulei egla tilsa. They prepared for him the third calf, which has a very tasty food that they prepared. Amrulei, they said to him, Litamar midi. Why don't you taste something? Why don't you join us and eat? Amalei. So he said, Betanisi yasivna. I accepted upon myself a fast. So I'm fasting today. I can't eat. Amrulei, so they said to him, V'loizif mar v'lifra. Why don't you borrow this day and eat, and then you'll pay it up another day? Loisavar ma lahadam Rav Yudah Marav. Do you not hold of what Rav Yudah said in the name of Rav? Loivadam tanisa. You can borrow your fast that you accepted. Upereya, and you can make it up another day. Amalahu. So he said, no, what I'm fasting for is different. Tainis cholam. I'm fasting for a dream. When a person has a dream that's negative and he wants to remove the bad effects of that dream, so you fast for it. So that's what I'm fasting. And for that, you have to fast today, and you can't make it up another day. And the Gemara says, V'amar Rabbe, regarding a fast of a dream, V'amar Rabbe bar Machasi Omer Rav Chama bar Guri Omer Rav, Yofet Tainis l'cholim, that when you fast for a bad dream, it's beneficial, it's good to remove the bad effects of the dream, ke'esh l'na'idis, like fire for flax that burns it up immediately, and it has the immediate effect. A fast for a dream also has a very strong effect. That fast has to be on that day that the person woke up and had the bad dream. So therefore, this is not something that you could push off. And even more than this, that for a tainis cholim, you can fast even on Shabbos, which is also brought in Shulchan Aruch, this Inyan of fasting a tainis cholim on Shabbos. But if a person had to fast a tainis cholim on Shabbos, how do you rectify the fact that he didn't eat on Shabbos? Leisif tanisa letanisa. Then he has to fast again to be mechaper, to make up for the fact that he had to fast on Shabbos. But a tainis cholim has to be on that day, and therefore it's on Shabbos. If what? No, even if you started fasting, if it wasn't the tainis cholim, if you began fasting, he could decide in the middle of the day that there's a certain reason that he wants to eat, and make it up another day. Zok Mishnah Avru Elu. So we're talking over here about the time period in the winter when you need the rain. So we spoke before about Yud Zayin Cheshvan, then Chodesh Kislev. So if all these days passed and there was no rain, V'loy Nanu, and they still were not answered, Bezdin Geizrin Gimel Tiny Yisacheres Al Tzibur. So they fast another 3 days. Again, another Monday, Thursday, and Monday that they fast. Oichlin V'shaisim B'Bayd Yom. So then in these fasts they can still eat during the day. In other words, they have to begin fasting already from the night. The day before they can eat until Shkia, then they have to start fasting from at night already. V'asurim b'melacha, the previous day, before the day before the fast they can eat. But then from the night they have to fast. And also v'asurim b'melacha, they're not allowed to work, u'berechitze, bathe themselves, u'besiche, anoint themselves, b'nesa sandal, wearing shoes, b'tash mishamite, marital relations, v'noyel nesamer chetzais, and they close all the bathhouses. In other words, it's a more stringent fast. After these 3 fasts pass and they still were not answered, Bezdin Geizer and Aleya and Oit Sheva, the Bezdin decrees upon everybody to fast another 7 fasts. Shehain Yud Gimel Tinius Ala Tzibur. So these are the 13 fasts in such a situation that the Tzibur has to fast, because they had first 3, then another 3, and now another 7. So that's the 13 fasts that they fast. And now, these last 7 fasts that they fast, have in it more than the first fast. They will blow shofar and they close the stores on these fast days. Now the Gemara says, but people do need to go to the store and buy food. So b'sheni, on the second day, they fast on a Monday, motin im chashecha. So they close down the stores, not completely, but yeah, they have it a little bit open. So on a Monday, so they have the store a little bit open in the end of the day before it's dark, so people could come and buy what they need. In other words, most of the day the store is closed, but they open it up a little bit at the end of the day. But on a Thursday, mutar mipnei kavod Shabbos, you can keep the store completely open for people to buy their food for the honor of Shabbos. If these fasts, you have already 13 fasts, and all these fasts passed, and they still were not answered, there was no rain, so people minimize in their business, the binyan, or in construction, the benetiya, and planting, the be'edis, and the benisuin, with marriage, or with even greeting one another, like people that are being rejected from the Eibishter. And Yichidim, there are individuals, like we said in the beginning of this whole thing, there are the Talmidei Chachamim that are called Yichidim, Chayzim U'Misanen, they continue and they fast, Ad Sheyetze Nisan, until the end of the month of Nisan. Yatza Nisan, if it didn't rain the entire season of the winter, and then after Nisan leaves, V'yardu Gshamim, and then the rain comes, Siman Klala, that's actually not a good sign. Shenem, the pasuk says, Haloik Tzichitim Ayom Gomer, now it's a time of harvest, and now the rain comes down. We had this pasuk before, if the rain comes after the month of Nisan, it's a negative sign.
Why are they fasting till Nisan?
Huh?
Why are they fasting till
So,
Nisan?
because I guess any time during the month of Nisan is still a time that the rain could be positive. But, huh?
It's like the
Last month of the Tkufa of Nisan. Okay. So the Gemara, so what did it say in the Mishnah? That when they fast, that they're also with all kinds of things, not only not eating, but it mentions that they shouldn't do work either. Frek the Gemara, Bishleime Kulu Isbu Tainu. So all the things mentioned in the Mishnah are things that have pleasure to them. Chitze, Siche, Tashma Shamite. So because these are things of pleasure, we understand why they asked this on these fasts. Avon Meloche, but when it comes to work, Tzaru. Work is something that is not that's a pleasure. It takes work that it's a pain itself. So why asking to work is part of the fast. Rav Chisda Amar Rav Yirmiyah bar Abba Amakrab, because there's a pasuk that says, Kitchu Tzaim, you should sanctify the fast day. Kiru Atzara, you should call them people should gather together. And Isvu Zekanim, and you should gather the elders. So what do we learn from this pasuk when it speaks about what you do on a fast day? You see from here, ke atzeres, that it says in the pasuk atzara, so that means just like a yontif. Ma atzeres, so just like a yontif of atzeres. So it's asa basiyas malacha, you're not allowed to do any work. Aftainis asa basiyas malacha. So too, a fast day is a day that you're not allowed to work. Sagt the Gemara, I ma atzeres mi urte. So if when it comes to atzeres, from when are you not allowed to work? From the nighttime. Aftainis nami mi urte. So too it should be regarding a fast day that you shouldn't be allowed to work already from the nighttime. But you're allowed, at night you're allowed to work. You're only not allowed to work from the morning. So Rab Zayda explained, Rab Yirmiyah bar Abba explained this to me. Omakra, the pasuk says, Isfu Zekanim, gather the elders. So therefore, what do you learn from this? Dumye dasifa Zekanim. We compare to the time when we gather the elders to come and daven. Ma asifa Zekanim bayayim. When do you gather the elders? That's daytime, not at night. So too regarding the fast, when it comes to not working, when do you not work? It's from the daytime. So if so, so I should say that when's the time you're not allowed to fast? From the middle of the day, when the sun is shining strong right in the middle of the day, because that's when the Zekanim are gathered. They're gathered in the middle of the day, seemingly, not before that. So this pshat that he said here is actually a raya to what Rav Huna said, the Amma mitzafre kenufya, the time when you gather, on a day of a fast day, the time when the elders come and gather in the shul is not in the middle of the day, it's in the morning time, that's on a fast day. Maybe on a regular day they come and gather later, but on a fast day they have to gather already from the morning. Heichi Ovid, so when they gather together, what do you do? Abaya says, Mitzafrat Palga de Yoime, from the morning until Chatzais, the first half of the day, Ma'aininon b'mili de Masa. They analyze and they make a drisha v'chkira, Rashi says. They make a research or interrogation regarding what's going on with the actions and the deeds of the people of the city to see why is it that they have this tzara, why is there no rain or whatever it is. Then Mekam ve'elech, from the other part of the day. So you have the next half of the day, so they divide it in two. Riva de Yoime, quarter of the day, Karinan, Besifre, Vaftarta. So they read from the Sefer Torah and from the Haftarahs. They learn from the Torah. The rest of the day, Be'inon Rachmi. They daven to the Eibishter. Shenema, as it says in the pasuk, Vayakuma al Omdom, then they stand, Vayikru b'Sefer Torah Hashem Elikayim, Revi'is Hayayim, a quarter of the day, they're reading from the Sefer Torah, and Revi'is, the next quarter of the day, Misvadim and Mishtachvan Hashem Elikayim. They bow and they daven to the Eibishter. So the Gemara asks on this, Eipechano, maybe the order of the day should be the opposite. Maybe the first half of the day, they should read from the Torah and they should daven. And maybe in the second half of the day, they should be interrogating and researching and seeing what's with the behavior of the people that they have to improve and do tshuva. So the Gemara says, Lo yisol kedaitach. No, you can't do it the opposite, because the pasuk says, Ve'ela yesful kol chorad b'divrei lekei Yisrael al mo'al ha'goyla, that everyone that is afraid of the Eibishter comes and gathers al mo'al ha'goyla. Mo'al ha'goyla means to see what's the negative things that the people in Golus are doing. Right? In other words, the first thing that they come is that they gather to the Eibishter to see, to analyze, to see what is the negative thing that people are doing. And then it says, U'b'minchas ha'erev kamti mitanisi ve'efres ha'kapi el Hashem. That in the next part of the day, from mincha time going to the evening, that's the time when they fast and they spread out their hands to the Eibishter, meaning that it's the second half of the day that they daven, or they first learn Torah and then they daven. So we see that that's the right order of what's done on a fast day.